Like SOS winning his match.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely the main one that comes to mind.
You know, SOS is
that two-time world champion, and that was in the finals of the GSL last year. Yeah.
SOS is going to be so mad. He's going to play the best game of his life, and he's going to completely destroy Showtime. This is really cool, by the way.
Yeah, this is pretty sick. So we're going to start things off with Stats versus Nurchio. Nurchi, one of the, I'd say, more confident non-Koreans out there, really does believe in himself and believes that he can overcome any opponent. Stats is going to be tough, though. He's got that very defensive style. Really does certainly likes to kind of keep retracting back and teching up and powering up until he can eventually overcome them. But Nurchio also is able to do that. He likes going down the long road in the CDP.
And I mean, just last week at the Intel Extreme Masters in Shanghai, Stats did lose a series against Iasono, which made him eliminated from the tournament in the group stage. And he was even up 1-0 in a very, very close, hard-fought game. At that point, I was like, well, now at this point, it has to be 2-0 set for sure. No, Iasono turned it around, still eliminated Stats of that tournament. If Iasono can do it, I don't see any reason why Nurchio wouldn't be able to win a best-of-1 here.
Absolutely, I completely do agree with that. Stats, like, he's very good, but he's kind of like a defensive player, wants to play the long game. That's something Nurchio's pretty good at. Like, if you're playing just kind of a standard Protoss game, a standard long kind of defensive game, Nurchio's going to do fine against that. This kid can macro.
The kind of scuttlebutt in the European scene, though, is that Nurchio has been struggling as EVP. He's in the meta right now. I think he's a better player than what he's playing to in this matchup. It's been a lot of Hydra Ling, Bangling, but that's like not where he found himself. He's always kind of a little bit different than EVP meta. So that's interesting going into this. It is a best-of-1. It still can be. Maybe he plays inspired. That kind of stuff can happen. We saw Stats get kind of a bit of a run of like, this is what he's going to do, and if Nurchio can figure that out in a quick time, he can capitalize.
Guys, final predictions before we start game number 1.
My heart says Nurchio, my mind says Stats.
And the overall score?
Well,
overall, it's a 12,000 points maybe.
Oh, out of all the games?
Yeah.
5-4.
5-4.
4?
I think God, maybe it's special versus innovation that 5th match. I don't know. It's a hard one.
All right.
All right, guys. Well, Artosis and I are going to peace out. This is going to be casted by Roddy in control. Have fun, boys.
Thank you, Tasteless, kicking off this amazing show match, this beautiful stage. Thank you guys for joining us. This is going to be really, really incredible. In this best-of-1 in the lower left-hand side, from Korea, it's the Blue Protoss.
Pretty close, that Jeff.
I got there.
Not bad at all.
Had to rush.
On the right top side of Mac Depot, we're looking at the main base of our Polish Zerg. It is. Damn it, Clark, it's so long.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It's a pregnant pause.
Euronics Gaming, Nurchio.
There you go.
Gotta get used to this one, Jeff.
All right. It's a great venue. It's really, really cool. I thought the production was awesome. You know, we laugh, we have a good time, but a lot of these players showing some personality and having fun. I think celebrating Starcraft is a really cool thing that sometimes we kind of forget about. It is, at the end of the day, a game. It's done a lot to transport a lot of our lives and put us in really cool places, but these are young people playing the game they love in front of an awesome audience.
Couldn't agree more. Beautiful stage, beautiful setup, ambience. Everybody seems to be in a good mood as well. And I'm excited. You know, Jeff, I also feel that this tournament just flew by. Like, this is day 4 already. We're going to have the grand finals of the other tournament that we casted over the last 3 days. It's like, I feel like I just arrived in Korea and it's almost over already. Kind of sad. Let's just go ahead and enjoy these games, and let's see if the World All-Stars, you know, we actually have instructions, Jeff, to be a little biased. We gotta be those guys that represent the world.
They don't even have to. They don't have to. You know, I've been the negative Nancy. Watching these matches has been humbling because the non-Koreans are finally up there. They're taking leads in series. They're playing really well. But even wrapping up a best-of-5 is actually very difficult. Just getting there to that finish line. So in these best-of-1s, it's a bit of a reset. This is playing a little bit to the non-Koreans' hands. Where like, okay, you don't need to do some mega crafty series. You don't have to bust up your builds and show 3 or 4 different builds. You just got to win one game, and that's, you know, Nurchio versus Stats in a best-of-5. I'd take Stats every day, but in a best-of-1, Nurchio can do it. He's really crafty with those links.
And one final prediction from you for the entire 8 games.
I honestly believe the non-Koreans win like 2 or 3 at the most.
Okay, so 6-2?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I would probably maybe go for 5-3, but I kind of believe in maybe a 4-4. I'd love to see a tiebreaker.
That'd be the most fun, obviously.
Yeah, and I actually think it is doable, but obviously we could all look stupid and it could just be a 6-2 or even a 7-1. Or worst case scenario, it's an 8-0.
Straight 8-0.
And then we just all, we hang our heads in shame. If that's the case, Jeff, no Korean barbecue for me tonight. I'm just going to go home.
Just go home and cry softly.
Yes.
You know, to be honest, I love what we kind of came to the realization of yesterday. We're like, hang on, who are the 4 best players in the game right now? That was probably our top 4.
Yeah, it's insane.
Of the races.
We've got a great final, of course, later today as well. A best of 7 between TY and Innovation. That's going to be absolutely fantastic. For now, let's focus on Stats versus Nurture. Now, I casted Stats at the Intox 3 Masters, and he didn't look unbeatable. He struggled a little bit, especially against Swarmos.
Even here?
Yeah, now I don't think that Nurture is a Swarmos player. I honestly don't see him make any Swarmos in this matchup. But Stats didn't look invincible. He's opening up with the Oracle here, which is a very, very standard opening. Obviously, I'm sure that Nurture won't be surprised by it. I'm just curious to see how it will play out on this map that is obviously relatively new as well. MacDepot, haven't seen that many games on it yet.
Yeah, you still have a very doable third. It's not like this is a Protoss graveyard of a map. But there is a reason why the non-Korean team put out Nurture. This is a pretty good map for that. You do have to go down a ramp and up another to get to that third base. Anytime that happens on a medium to small size map like this, that can be a little bit spotty. Some Roach Ling, some Roach Ravager, that kind of timing attacks can be very strong. Like I've been saying, Nurture is a Hydra Ling guy, but what I like about Nurture's play is his early game can be very crafty.
This is a little bit ugly though, Jeff. If 2 drones fall immediately morphed into the spore, that's exactly what Nurture does, but he does end up losing at least 1 drone, and maybe the second one is going to go down here as well. He's going to have to cancel it, I think. Yes, he does. He does end up losing the drone as well. Yeah. This is actually a pretty good Oracle for Stats. It's better than most of the Oracles these days.
But also, it's within acceptable parameters, I think, for Nurture. It's not losing 2 drones is not like, oh my god, how does he come back from this? It's like, eh.
And Nurture made quite a few links early on. Stats is actually kind of taking his time going up to 3 bases. This is not late or something, 4:47. I'm not saying like, oh my god, it's incredibly late, but it's a little bit later than some of the other experiments we've seen lately. Yeah. A Stasis Ward being warped in, but Nurture has good reaction time here, and he's only going to freeze 1 drone.
Really good response there. It's absolutely not what he's looking for. He's looking for his attention to be divided. He can grab a whole mineral line. It can be really good there. But Phoenix comes out. You'll see there's no continuation of Phoenix behind this, so it's not really the Golden Armada or Stargate play. It's just more of the double Oracle.
It's like the Polt Viking of Protoss.
Yeah. I think it's a fair way of calling it. He's going to go for it again. Whoa!
Oh, this one is going to be a little bit bigger as the Queen gets trapped as well. Wow, 4 more drones over here. Stats is having a ball so far here in game number 1. This is actually all going very, very well for him. You know, Nurture, I love a lot of the things he does, Jeff, but if I want to be critical of one thing in Nurture's play, is that in general, his creep spread is not fantastic. I feel like this is something that's been holding him back in a couple of the ZVPs, especially if you rely on Hydras and Banelings. Like, on and off creep is just a world of difference. It changes everything.
And I absolutely agree, and that's weird, because I don't feel like that's always been the case. I mean, he's, you know, Scarlet's known for her creep spread, so it's not like he was ever on Scarlet level, but it wasn't like a big issue. Maybe the game's just kind of evolved past or something, but I definitely agree. You see a War Prism coming out, charge, +1 attack, and a Templar Twilight for a Protoss player here, so it's going to be dicey, because if he doesn't see that with all the damage to charge, +1 attack, and some warp into the main Twilight.
Yeah, it could also just be like even 2 Archons, even though this is later than the regular 2 Archons, obviously, as these Oracles just keep on going. Nurture ends up losing like 7, 8, 9 drones again. Not forever, but at least for quite some time. And Stats is playing fantastic so far. Even though Nurture does have 75 drones, what I'm worried about, Jeff, is that 4th base. If like 4 Zealots be warped in, or 4 Zealots in the prison, and he warped in 4 additional Zealots, if Protoss gets a cancel or a kill on that 4th hatchery, this becomes a very, very unpleasant game to play as a Zerg player.
Agreed. And just now Baneling speed does get started here, so we're going to get that Warp Prism loaded up. It is going to go past the tower, though, so it will be spotted. And, you know, Nurture, a couple of stasis wards go off. It's not great, but it's not devastating. He's still okay.
Damn, his drone count is going to be so high, Jeff. 82 drones.
I like it.
Yeah, this is like indeed a little bit like Serral style. In the past, we've seen a lot of these Zerg, you know, be at 68, maybe 70 drones, and then they start trading, then they start making. Nurture instead taking note out of Serral's playbook. He said Serral has been teaching him a couple of things. Well, this is definitely a Serral type of drone count, and from this point on, you just want to fight all the time. But MacDepot is a pretty long map, though. I'm not exactly sure how that's going to play out, but we'll see.
Good surround here. Should be able to, yep, they're just going to have to actually cancel their shade and get picked up here. Another scout coming out. And so far, Nurture, he's to that power number, though, that Kevin was talking about. Once you hit 80 drones, you don't go beyond that. The kind of, if you can get away with that without taking any damage, it's just time to hit the build button. You're just going to start making Hydraling and Baneling.
Well, look at where Seth takes his fourth base. He doesn't take it on the left top side. He doesn't even take it next to his main. He takes it near the middle, which means that if Nurture starts working on all these rocks that are in the middle of the map, then with a couple of creep tumors, he doesn't need to have the entire map covered in creep. All he needs is a little highway, and that's what he's going for.
Well, you're a nice guy. I'm not going to let Nurture off the hook too much, though. It's like literally 2 creep tumors that are active. And yes, he's going to have a nice push towards that base, but like his main's not even connected to his natural, his fourth base. I think there's even a little bit of separation between that, just a little bit. It's, you know, we're nitpicking, but this is the World All-Stars. We need to see better.
Well, I think Nurture is just really going to hammer down the middle of the map. He's just going to shove Hydra Bane in the face of Stats over and over again. And obviously the first hold is going to be incredibly important. Now what is great news for Stats is that both Oracles are still alive. We saw Showtime have a couple of phenomenal holds throughout the weekend. Stasis wards, overcharge, a cannon or two, maybe a few force fields as there are sentries in the mix as well. Are you going to break this, Jeff, with just Hydra Bane?
No, look at all the Templar behind that. Yeah. He's going to come into this narrowed space. He's going to fight through photon overcharges, and he's not going to have much to kite behind. It looks like Stats is going to give a little bit of space there. Guardianship goes up. There's the first storm. It gets a huge chunk of Hydras. He just sits underneath it. There's the next storm, thinning out the Banelings, and then he's already falling back behind here. A couple of storms. Those are a little bit of blanks, but then what? Nurture kind of walks into it. The army of Stats is not amazing. This positioning is really hard to get through.
Yeah, and don't forget, he has plenty of gateways, obviously. You can start warping in 7, 8, 9, 10 Zealots.
Maybe the continuation of Kevin?
Yeah, the high drone count is obviously going to help. Maybe one Oracle there for free. Nurture does get the Oracle on the top side.
That's
a little bit sloppy by Stats, because Stats, oh, Baneling gets awfully close to the High Templar. I don't understand why Stats didn't drop any stasis wards here.
Yeah, a little bit of a misuse there. And this army is mostly Templars. Got to be careful. They're going to start making Archons, but this is a combat zone. And here come the Hydras in the back there. Just the one Immortal is a little bit perilous for Stats. If he can get through this okay, he's going to win the game.
Yeah, exactly, because from this point on, the army is going to be stronger and stronger. Now, he did use all of his High Templar, so he needs to warp in new ones. It's going to take a little while before he has 5, 6, 7 storms again.
And you're right, Rotterdam. Nurture is just putting the gas to the pedal here.
Yeah, I mean, I feel that maybe the next wave, but these Archons with a Guardian Shield as well. I feel like Stats should just chill, because Nurture is going to eventually run out of steam. And Stats just needs to get up to like 5, 6, 7 storms.
Oh no, when I was saying surround, I thought the Zerg might have been able to get surround there, but it looks like he's just going to keep massing up. Supply-wise, though, they're fairly similar, and that's really bad for Nurture.
Yep, especially because Storm is out then.
He went into that first fight with like a 20-30 supply advantage, and it didn't pan out.
And suddenly, it's not just a couple of High Templars, it's 5 Immortals and 5 Archons as well. Once again, the creep just hasn't really been making any moves forward. A couple of Hydras on the high ground here, that's nice. Maybe a few probes will get kicked off.
It's okay.
But this army of Stats is just getting bigger and bigger. He has +3 attack. Oh, okay. I do like this, Jeff. Try something a little different, because going towards the middle, running into storms is obviously not going to get the job done. So Nurture is going to try to do something that we all love from him, and that is Hydra drop.
He's going to have to do something, like you said, Rotterdam, something different. He's actually going to scout out this base by doing that. I think he's, you know what, go past it. You can't even drop on this. Go in the main and have something else go over there to deal with that.
A couple Stalkers is obviously not going to be enough. Maybe one Overlord does get picked up. No, it's not. So what is Stats going to do now? He's going to have to send all of his units back, and don't forget, Nurture is obviously going to try to strike somewhere else again.
Yeah, both armies are just about max to warpins are limited here, but the double Immortals show up, and they are the Enforcers. A bit of a misclick here coming out from Nurture as well, and he is just kind of falling apart. The attack in the main, not what it should have been. Even losing the Overlord full of units. Falling back on this, there's that creep issue we're talking about. A lot of the engagements are happening off creep, so he's not even able to escape for free. He's losing units when he does that.
This is a very large map once again, so I don't expect Nurture to have the entire map covered in creep. But I'd love to at least see him move the tumors forward.
Yeah. I mean, we're fair to be critical. I don't feel bad about that. Like, it definitely could be better than this, and it's going to be a problem. He's going to show up here, going behind this third. He's going to bow out of there, but this is what I'm kind of talking about. Every time he does any kind of poke, it's costing him.
Damn, Stats doing a phenomenal job in splitting up his army. Are there Banelings in those Overlords? That's what I wonder about. Banelings will roll into the fourth base, but Stats has evacuated most of his probes already. Stats is just playing rock solid, man. It's like, I feel like he's playing racquetball, and every ball that comes in his way, he just smashes it right back.
Yep. He's looking like Serena Williams out in the tennis court, just beasting through these serves. Everything Nurture is trying to do is get in return with fire. And he's going to push here, but what is his game plan? If you look at that production tab, he's just now getting, is Is that +1 range attack? That's it?
Yeah, you're right.
Way
I mean,
behind
he does have
upgrades.
+2 melee for the main as well, but yeah, the Hydras, they didn't have any upgrades. Stats is feeling so confident that he's getting a Mothership. The Fleet Beacon has obviously finished up. He's also getting +1 air weapons, so maybe he's going to squeeze in a couple of carriers. Nurcho still dancing around. The problem is with this style of Nurcho, you want to do serious damage with the Protoss. You really want to start hurting him, where you get like 50 probes here, 20 probes there, maybe a couple of High Templars, and that's just not happening.
Well, the nice thing for Nurcho is because of all this aggression, he's like one good fight away. You know, if the Protoss somehow loses his army, it's really lethal for him. Couple Archon's going to go down there. This attack getting some purchase on the mineral line, but he can't lose too many units. He's going to back away. And Kevin, that screen, I mean, this is a nice fight, but the army of the Protoss is terrifying.
Yeah, but if Stats never attacks because he makes 3 more Stargates, maybe Nurch can invent some sort of a window. These Hydras might actually get this Nexus. And Mortals are going to try to save the day, but they do get it. So that's something at least for Nurcho. I feel this was the first pretty damn good fight of the game. The problem is that Stats is incredibly rich and has a very powerful army and is getting up to carriers.
Thank you, Kevin. This was a great fight. Problem is, everything else.
Yeah, well, I mean,
he's in a lot of trouble. And even
being honest, Jeff.
Oh, no, I know. It's what we're here to do. Nurcho's going to fall back. It's just more Ling, Hydra, Baneling. He's getting that +1 attack, so that'll be kind of nice. If there is something worth mentioning, it's the attack of Protoss that's been upgraded, not the armor.
Baneling's going to try to get close to the High Templars on the left side, but Stats so good in repositioning those High Templars. A couple of Archons there, maybe a little bit too exposed, but more storms rain down, and I think Nurcho's in a lot of trouble.
He is. He's just kind of getting tanked up by those Archons. The storms are now in position to push him back. Supply advantage now Stats. For one of the first times in the game, they've been about even, but now it's worse. He's on top of these bases. We're getting some Zealot harass there, but he's going to flat out lose the 5th base here. He evacuates, so that's kind of nice. But going back to 4 bases after 15 minutes of all-out aggression means that he's starting to dry up in the main and natural as well.
Absolutely. Stats having a ball. You know, I don't mind the game plan of Nurcho, obviously, but I think early game it wasn't good enough because he lost too much mining time against all the Oracles.
Yeah.
And what I would have also loved to see with the playstyle that he was going for, a couple drop lords of Banelings, you know, like keep Stats honest, force him to have a couple Stalkers, force him to warp in cannons into the natural or into the main. We didn't see any Baneling drops on the mineral lines, and I really think that could have maybe made things go a little bit better for Nurcho.
I think where he was attacking was tough. He was going through a fairly choked space into pylons and cannons. That's a good place for a Protoss to defend. We didn't even see force fields, but that could have been an issue as well, where he
dropped a couple,
locks them in and storms it, and then they're all dead. But he didn't need it. He defended just fine otherwise.
So Stats looking very dominant here in game number 1.
He's up 40 or 50 army supply here.
He's getting everything. He's styling right now.
He's styling a little bit. This is Nick Tasteless plot in the club, late Friday afternoon. Single ladies thought they were safe. They're finding out it's wrong. One plot's on the case.
One glimpse at that beard, and that's all it took. That's all it took, Jeff. That's all it took. A few more Hydras coming in from the north side. I mean, Nurcho has done a decent job in killing a couple probes here and there over the last few minutes. But this army,
he's got to push now. He's like, you know what? If that's your army harassing me right now, I think it's over. Just gonna put this out there, by the way. Dark Shrine. Still a good idea here, by the way.
Why not? If you have
all this harass, you warp in 2 Dark Templar, it gets held back.
It has been a fun game. It's been a very bloody game with a lot of cool battles. It just really felt that Stats had a very smooth opening with his Oracles, with a lot of lost mining time from Nurcho. And the moment that the very first Hydra Bane push comes at the 4th base, and the cannons are already there, Storm is already done, that's just where things become pretty damn rough for the Zerg.
It's been a fun game in that it's been action-packed, Kevin, but for me, it's like very tail end of meta-esque, where like the Protoss just sat there with the exact army that counters what the Zerg is doing, and it's not because of some crazy mind game back and forth, it's because both of these people are at the tail end of the meta. This is actually what you do almost every time in this matchup. So for me, it becomes more exciting when people start changing it up.
Yeah, it comes down to execution when you have these kind of builds go up against each other as well. And it's safe to say that Stats' execution was quite a bit better than Nurcho's. As he's maxed out, Nurcho's still trying to counterattack, but I think Nurcho also knows that this is the beginning of the end, as he is getting a couple of infestations.
We're going to scout this, and I'm sure that he has some sort of plan to counter it. You know, this is not like a completely unexpected build for this map, is it?
No, I mean, you can pretty much, it's very tempting to do on a map like this. You know, you can get it for free, and if you get that momentum, you can really use that to your advantage. But, you know, for Neve here, I'm curious what that response is going to be exactly. We see he's now walling off. his entrance here with the core, gateway, and pylon.
And that's his second probe going out. So this probe is for proxying specifically. Not sure exactly what he wants to proxy. Like, the thing is, something like a Stargate, you're going to be prepared for that with the Nexus First mode.
Yeah.
So, not exactly sure. Like, it could be something like a Robo, right? Do a quick Prism, something like that.
It's interesting. It's not the way I'm used to seeing Neeb play, at least from what we've had in this tournament so far, but you're 100% right, Artosis. He is trying to hide something over here in the center right.
Must be a Stargate, right? Based on where
I would
that is.
assume so. I mean, if it was a Robo, I think it would be not there. I mean, this is a location that does give you really quick access to the main. So let's see what it is. The pylon's about to finish.
Oh, DT drop perhaps.
Okay. Very interesting.
It could be. I don't want to like overcall that too quickly, but I think he's going to throw it on a Robo and a Dark Shrine here.
Well, if Robo in that sense, that would make sense.
Yeah.
Right.
So what he's doing here, and I do think it'll be DT drop. This is like a blind countering build against greedy PvP play. Like it's something that could developed on Proxima. Let's see if there's a Dark Shrine. Yeah, there must be.
I mean, this is the only thing that makes sense as far as I can tell for what he's doing. If he's going to sit it, like, we don't have Blink here. Yeah, it's got to be a Dark Shrine. Well, this is a cool like attempted hard counter here.
Yeah.
At Hero, trying to. I mean, Hero probably saw how good Neeb's late game was and might have even considered, okay, I got to really try to get a leg up on this guy if I'm going to hold my own, because of course Hero is somebody who usually likes to get in there and start throwing punches right away. So Neeb completely doing a reversal and trying to come in here.
Well, yeah, this is like, for instance, this is a risk, but this is something that popped up on Proxima. Oh my God, he counters it right there with the Robo. But it's something that popped up on Proxima because it's like, well, you can take such a fast Nexus and then just go Phoenixes. Yeah. And that counters basically everything. The last thing you want against Phoenixes would be like a Robo, but here we are, and I mean, the DT drop, it could do damage still, but there is a Robo on the way.
Yep, that Robo a little bit over halfway done. And of course, with the DT's not yet warped in, it looks like he should be able to deflect this. He will, of course, have to deal with the fact that the Robo, if it gets away, can always drop back in later. Neeb trying to draw some attention over here to the front and peek in. Okay, how many Stalkers do we have? Do I see any definitive tech that I can get? And as the Robo, as the Observer, I'm assuming the Observer's going to start. No, he's starting an Immortal. Okay, that's a big difference.
That's a big deal.
I actually simply assumed he was going to have Obs first, but no.
Well, this is the only build you need Obs against is this one. Immortal's good against everything else. So.
Right.
Oh, a scary moment. Okay, he cancels that, goes immediately into an Observer.
All right, the DT's now headed up over here towards the main. He needs to get as many probes as possible. The Observer's about halfway finished. Got some kills going in here. 4 kills so far, and a lot of lost mining timing.
Yeah, this isn't terrible so far. We'll see how many he ends up getting. Okay, so 6 kills, tons of lost mining time coming out as well. Their worker counts are even, and Neeb has another Nexus. He's getting Blink. He has a Prism. He has DTs. This is okay for Neeb. He did well enough. And this is a build that, even though it's a little bit of a risk, and you won't always do damage, like if he went Observer first, right, you get far less kills. But, like, there was the potential of a free win there as well. So I like how Neeb has played this, and he's done well enough.
DT coming up now. Going to take out a few more workers. And a good pickup here by Neeb. Again, you know, it's not just the initial DTs that come in there and do the damage. It's also the fact that this Warp Prism can keep flying back in, which it puts Hero in an uncomfortable spot. Hero basically can't leave his base. So I really like the direction he's taking this. If Hero can, however, shut down that Warp Prism, then he has a lot more options to try to do other tricks. And, of course, you never want to let Hero have control of the map. That's when he really starts to win his games.
Indeed, you're right about that. Now, look, the DTs did a bit more damage. Neeb is up in workers at this point. He's got good tech. Hero has good tech as well, but with Blink finishing up here, Neeb definitely does have a lead. Quicker third Nexus even.
Okay, once again, Warp Prism's empty note, but of course, Hero doesn't know that. Hero's thinking, oh crap, you know, he might drop anything out of here. I gotta respect this. And Neeb beginning to get more gateways. I do like the direction Neeb's taking this. And Neeb overall, throughout these past 4 days or so, has just been blowing us away in PvP.
Oh God, he just looks so strong. And in fact, even in PvT, he's looked great. So,
yeah.
Definitely a player that if we get to that ace match, might come out for his team. Now, it looks like Hero's going to just go ahead and scout across the map with one of his 3 observers, see what's going on down here. Not going to get too much intel with it. but does see the Immortals coming in. He, of course, already knows there's a proxy robo, though.
Okay, we got double forges coming down here. Neeb definitely pointing this game towards the late game, giving a nod to the fact that he wants to have all the tools at his disposal to be tough enough to take on possibly what will be a maxed out army. This is a map where it's definitely, you feel safe turtling on once you get all your tech up. Of course, the third pretty easy to acquire once you've got everything covered in your 2 bases over there. And I don't know if either side is going to be really engaging each other for a little bit.
Yeah, there's no real attack timing here for Hero, in my opinion. Right?
It's hard to have an incentivized rush or attack strategy, 3 base versus 3 base in general in PvP, unless you can get a Warp Prism one place and then try to hit the front, but that can be risky in of itself.
Yeah, and that oftentimes looks exactly the same, like the 2 Immortal drop with the Zealot Warping ring around it. Nice little harass coming out of Hero here, dropping a couple of depths in. We'll see what he can get done with them.
Okay, nothing too special. It does get 3 probes. Neeb, of course, deflects that pretty easily. Neeb now moving out with a handful of Stalkers of his own. Is he trying to catch the Warp Prism on the way back? I think he actually... Do we see where the Warp Prism is on the minimap, Artosis?
I'm not sure where it is. I think it's just at, like, the 4th base of Neeb. It kind of looks like that.
Yeah, I think you're right, actually. So he doesn't manage to catch it. He pokes in here on the front. Immortals now being pumped out on both sides. These guys are also both frantically upgrading to get to a proper place in the late game.
Double Forge, really important at the moment. Disruptors have gone out of style greatly in this matchup. It's very much about making tons of charge lots, kind of having that control by having so many units that your opponent can't really come out.
Yeah.
And both players taking their 4th bases at the right time.
That Warp Prism still orbiting around outside the backdoor expansion here for Neeb. Neeb definitely getting a little bit of momentum here. He's expanding again, as is Hero. Note the different locations are choosing to expand. Neeb basically hugging his quadrant of the map, where it seems like Hero may be continuously trying to just take over at the very top.
Well, yeah, that is kind of interesting, like where Hero chose to his 4th compared to Neeb. I think this could just have to do with like the unit counts. Hero should know that Neeb's macro was a little bit quicker this game, but they're kind of ending up in the same spot at this point.
Yeah, I think things have basically balanced out. Now, the question is Hero going to be okay in super late game against somebody like Neeb? We always think of Hero as the guy who's able to get in there and trip up his opponent early, get him rocked, have him against the ropes, and then finish him off with a kill move. But this game is going in an opposite direction.
And the only real difference that we see, Hero's kind of making an extra Nexus a little bit more quickly, and getting as well Oracles out. So definitely can be used for tagging. Stasis wards can be okay. And of course, you know, you get in there with harassment. Occasionally an late Oracle can get some probe kills.
So we have Neeb's Stalkers now returning back home. It looks like he's going to have to give up on that Robo there in the center right, possibly just remake that at home. Meanwhile, Neeb seems to be moving out a little bit. Hero does take another expansion over here in the top left.
Neeb, I like this move out timing a lot, to be honest. If you're lining this up, his 2-2 should be finishing very, very shortly here. And of course, again, his macro all kind of came out quicker after that DT drop. So should be up in supply just a little bit. That 2-2 still not quite done, which means that actually Hero does lead in upgrades.
So let's see if he can actually try to get in here. I'm not sure if Hero is just going to go ahead and sack this expansion over here. Nice drops with the placement over here, and Hero's base is actually too good, bouncing those Zealots off.
Okay, Neeb gonna run in as his Zealots harass in that main base. Too many Archons. He pulls back, and Hero warping quite a few units at home as well. Will be safe against this.
So far, so good here for Hero. I don't believe Neeb's aware of that base over there in the upper left. And a great Stalker harass down here, taking out about 6 probes, doing a little bit more damage than what Neeb's done. Oh, no! Oops. Big mistake there by Hero. Now that War Prism's out of the game. However, it looks like Hero may be on for the attack.
Oh, God, the Archon's getting tons of damage against these Zealots right now. Hero with a big army moving down. Looks like he's starting to win this fight a little bit. Nice force fields as well. Those 2 Immortals in the back not shooting for a really long time.
Yeah, Hero just seems to have premium location here to be able to dish out that damage. Immortals, of course, split off from the rest of the army. I'm not sure if Neeb can get the rest of his forces over here to try to protect these Immortals. He does jump back in. Some Zealots now rallying, and again, remember the War Prism was gunned down, so there's no way for Neeb to try to reinforce this.
That was the big problem. And Hero had a great snipe there, moving right in immediately with the rest of his army, and takes the army advantage really for the first time in the game.
Okay. Hero now moving down. I think the way that Neeb's expanded, it's going to be hard to pick off any one of these bases. Unlike, I think, if Hero had lost that fight, Neeb would have gone up there and stomped out the upper left. Unfortunately, Neeb never caught on to the fact that Hero had that up there.
Once again, we see Hero with that F2 key moving around the map, 3 observers and the mothership core with his army. Not that it's necessarily a bad thing. Your opponent has DT tech. You lose those observers, it's very easy to lose them against Archons. Things can definitely go south very, very quickly.
Okay, we have some Stalkers now coming up here for Neeb. He may try to blink up into the main, or maybe just try to snipe some Templars, anything he can actually get. But the placement here is just too good, and those Templars go ahead and morph into an Archon.
Yeah, it's not efficient time use either to utilize a small group of Blink Stalkers against mass Zealots. Sure, you can do some fancy Blink Micro and pick them off over time, but really right now, it's about making sure you have the right unit count, you're expanding, you're getting your upgrades as well.
Yeah. Okay, Hero now moving back up towards the center. This group of Stalkers isolated over here. We're finally having Hero get his Dark Shrine up as well. And I think Hero's going to regroup Artosis and try to push into this base in the center left. I think he just barely has enough. Oh, okay. Or open up these rocks over here to give him avenues to attack at many different angles.
Definitely agree with you on that. This is a good time for him right now. He's got a really, really strong army. Both players getting 3-3. And, of course, Hero having that 5th base up just a little bit longer than Neeb.
Okay. Neeb is going to have to be ready. But his army's not in position at all.
Ooh.
Oh, this is a disaster. There's no way to save this base.
Yeah.
In fact, you have to have your main army below that ramp.
And you can't run down it against Archons.
Yeah, no, there's no way.
Everything.
That's instant death. Zealot's now headed northbound over here for Neeb. Neeb definitely starting to lag behind as this game goes forward. Hero up a base as well as, he's going to be up 2 bases as he expands again. And even the Zealot attack here, is he going to go for a Nexus or probes or try to split him?
You know, maybe he'll get a little bit of damage done here, but the recall by Hero will help him to clean up.
Now, while this army's pulled back over here, especially into the main, there is an option for Neeb to try to move out again, but I just don't know if he has the muscle on the middle of the map to punish anything as long as Hero's hypervigilant.
You know, there might be a timing coming up for Neeb because Hero has added some additional Stargates. Of course, both sides getting the fleet beacon. They do want the mothership out, but if Hero starts like 3 carriers, let's say, he's going to be down in army supply, right? Like right now, we don't see that. He's very close to max. Neeb isn't quite yet, but Neeb can max when he wants to. And if Hero like gives away a few units and wants to go into carriers, that can become a nice time for Neeb to attack in and just have finally an advantage again.
3 DTs coming down here. I don't see any detection in this area. Does he go just straight for the Nexus? Oh, and 1 Oracle flying in there. Bad move there, unfortunately, by him to end up losing that unit. Now the DTs are going ham here on the Nexus. Neeb needs to get this up. Where's his observer? I don't see it yet.
That's a very good question,
Wow.
Dace. As I'm looking around, I don't see it as well. And, I mean, Neeb is sitting here losing another Nexus. He has those cannons, but they are no longer powered. Things are not looking super good for him right now.
No, not at all, unfortunately. And I feel like Hero is slowly closing in. Granted, Neeb might still be able to hold off 1 or 2 attacks. I feel like overall, Hero has a lot more wiggle room than Neeb does.
You can't deny the power right now of Neeb's army, sure, but Hero's been so much more on top of having his bases, not really taking too much economic damage either. How does Neeb start to fight back against this?
Okay, DT's going to try to slip in here into the main base for Neeb. Looks like Neeb's actually in pursuit. He does not get the block off there.
Okay, at this point,
oh my gosh,
geez,
not good. And with the mothership almost done here as well. Ooh.
Yeah, but 5 carriers on the way. Okay, so carriers are kind of funny because the first couple times when you have, like, let's say 3 carriers, 4 carriers, 5 carriers, plus 3 Archons will kill the interceptors so unbelievably quickly.
Yeah.
So, like, it takes a little bit for carriers to pay off, and it takes a long time for them to build. So that is a ton of supply that he has in carriers. Look at the army supply right now. Neeb has an army advantage. He might not know it, but this is a time where he could get damage done.
Yeah, you're totally right. There is like a transition phase you got to go through if you're going to get carriers. Because carriers, when you get a certain amount, it becomes hugely problematic. But if you get them when there's just a small number, totally different story.
Dude, Hero's such a master, though. He's setting in DTs, small groups of Zealots.
Yeah.
He's just kind of giving away a few units here and there and keeping Neeb busy cleaning up these tiny harassments that don't mean anything. If he buys the time for his carriers to come out, he suddenly has a gigantic advantage.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if Neeb's going to be comfortable acting on the map. I mean, he's basically been pushed back the entire time. Everything Neeb's tried, Hero seems to just have an answer for. And you know, I think some of this we saw beginning to fall apart, actually, when Neeb did not identify that Hero had a base in the upper left and probably thought the tempo of this game was actually quite different as well.
Yeah. These Zealots actually doing some significant damage over here. DT's being warped in to clean up, but a DT of Hero comes up as well. 5 carriers are out, and actually, Neeb coming in for a strong attack finally.
He's coming in. He is going to wipe out this base, but Hero's down here attacking as well. Where does this game go? This is actually kind of crazy, Artosis. The carriers alone are not going to cut it, though, against that many Archons from Neeb.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. So Neeb's army is kind of a death ball, but he's taken a lot of damage all over the place. So he must deal significant damage. I do like how Hero's kind of sitting at home with carriers, making 5 more. Eventually, he'll just warp home and have a better composition because of these carriers.
I think you are right. He's going to come in here now. Kind of an odd game. Does Neeb actually want to go into the upper right and try to take out any Stargates or anything like that?
Jeez.
This is a really tricky situation.
Well, he has to like go up the ramp and start to really kill things, because if you look at the bank, over 3,000 minerals here for Hero.
Yeah.
He won't run out of interceptors.
Oh, here we go.
That's a good move. He's got to get out of here now.
He's got the army split up very nicely. But of course, this does allow Neeb then to rush into the upper right and maybe try to do some damage over there. Some of Neeb's army actually for a second getting fished back towards those Archons.
We might see him actually have to recall into the main base as well. If he loses too much here,
yeah.
I mean, Neeb has a lot of mobility to him at the moment.
I think Neeb might be handling this just a little bit better. And so he is going to do just that.
Right now, those interceptors doing some massive damage. The Immortals not really being all that helpful. The rest of Neeb's army coming up and joining. Interceptors getting picked off, but they will be rebuilt. Notice still pretty big mineral bank here for Hero.
Right now, supplies are virtually the same. There are enough Archons here for Neeb, an almost ridiculous amount, that he can pretty much deal with the interceptors if he just controls it right.
Okay. Yeah, okay, so he has vision of everything both sides do. They've tagged each other with their oracles. Definitely a very important moment as well. Some time warps going down. The interceptors still being picked off, but they rebuild very quickly. A big battle going on. The Archons here of Hero slowing everything down so he can rebuild his interceptors, but will that be quick enough?
These Zealots coming into blindside on the corner. I'm not sure, though, he has enough anti-air. Oh, hold on. He's getting underneath the carriers.
Oh, is that going to be enough, though? The carriers continue to gain interceptors every single second. Some stalkers coming in as well. He blinks forward, trying to target down carriers. Can Neeb finish off Hero?
This is insane. The Immortal's still doing damage just underneath these carriers here for Hero. Hero barely hanging on. The mothership does go down, and Neeb taps out. GG. That was a crazy ending.
That was a crazy ending.
Cool game.
Hero did a fantastic job this game, okay? He dealt with the DTs in his base, didn't take too much damage, but he did fall behind.
Yeah.
And then when he was transitioning into carriers, he kept Neeb busy. If Neeb would have realized that, oh, there's 3 DTs in my base, now there's 2 Zealots over here, if he had realized what was going on, that Hero was giving away a little bit of supply and keeping Neeb busy so that Hero could go into 5 carriers, an attack then could have proved to be the changing factor that would have given Neeb a victory.
I gotta say, man, I am getting a little bit scared, Artie. No matter what, we're gonna go through all 8 games, but I'm really hoping we can start to see a comeback here. Neeb was kind of our last hope. Wow, Neeb really beat up over that last loss. Understandable, of course.
Well, you know, this happens sometimes. He's a great PvP player, but so is Hero. Hero had a bad day against Stats, but definitely pulled it out well here, even going to that late game and showing that, like, definitely he can still fight against TY from here, but, you know, give him a couple years, man. It might be the TY that we're hoping has a chance against Kellisher.
Yeah, I mean, but I don't think he's, you know, until he's in his final form, I'm just not sure. Let's see where TY decides to go next. We have Kellisher taking his his third base up here. We don't have TY quite doing that just yet. Killers are flying around with these 2 Ravens. There were 2. Okay, that's a great play. Just to cut down that tank.
Really love moves like that. Does pick off that siege tank. And going to force the SCVs to run. Getting just a few kills here and there.
I don't know if this is worth it, though, to lose these to the Vikings. I mean, that's one of the... See, I think that's a problem with decision-making, right? You could have kept those back. Instead, he goes all the way through the main.
Yeah, going through the main, I think, was probably the issue, especially considering TY is one of the main Terrans that likes to have air control and make Vikings. I think once you initially throw down those auto turrets, if he just turns around and beelines out of there,
well, then it's acceptable. But, you know the moment that the Ravens are in there. You saw the Vikings or their Killers did see the 2 Vikings that fired him. He already chucked one.